Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 day challenge. We are on our last day. This week went by so fast. Happy Friday for those of you that are watching. I'll go ahead and start recording for those of you that may want to watch this later on a replay. But welcome in. I see a few people in our Zoom account. Within the Zoom room, you might have gotten the link if you had registered properly and received those links in your email. But either way, you should be able to watch this in our social channels. We are currently live in literally all the channels, our Facebook groups, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching from. I just want to welcome you in. In case if you didn't get the chance to maybe interact with us throughout the week, maybe you had a really busy week and you wanted to do the 5 day challenge, you didn't get a chance. Here's what I recommend. I recommend you going through day one, which is obviously Monday. Go through Monday's replay and spent a little bit of time going through the entire session. I spent about 2 hours going through all 5 days worth of content and strategy in order for you to be able to just get everything all at once. So even if you missed some of the Q&As throughout the week, it wouldn't give you a big setback. But either way, what I want to do today is share a couple of notes with you. So I got a few messages from some of you. I saw some of the postings in the private Facebook group for the 5 day challenge, and I want to share a couple of sales strategies and sales concepts as kind of our icing on the cake on our last day here together. Now, this is not a goodbye forever or anything like that. You will get the opportunity to be able to go to our official community, spend time there, interact with us. But you do have a limited 30-day access to the private Facebook group. So take advantage of it. Jump in there. Tell us what city, state, region, and all that you're from. And this will help you connect with fellow high levelers as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and review some of the sales questions that I got over this week and help you all kind of understand how to view sales in the right way. So just from a context standpoint, if you want to watch a dedicated session on just sales, I would say watch day three and day four content inside of the private Facebook group. Some of the older ones, if is what I would recommend, meaning maybe back in November or December, there's sessions in there that you have access to where we spent hours going through sales. We've changed the format of the 5 day challenge since then because we came out of beta and things like that. So take a look at those older sessions. You'll get a lot of context out of it. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and check our high-level Facebook page. Give me a yes in the chat if you are ready for me to kind of share a couple of notes on sales in general. And that's kind of in for me, it's kind of a good way for us to kind of conclude the live sessions. Of course, you have access to the entire thing even later, but give me a yes in the chat. I see Alexander, Blake, Jennifer. Let's see. Bobby is saying yes. Okay, cool. Um, all right, perfect. So I'm sharing my screens here, and you should be able to see my screen. Okay, awesome. So just to give you all context to how to look at this, if you are brand new to sales, what I'm going to share with you today is going to probably help you because I want to cater to those of you that are not comfortable in sales. If you're good at sales, no problem. You know what the offers are, you know how to fulfill it or how to outsource the fulfillment or bring in someone to help you, however you want to handle that. I've shared the strategies on that entirely. Now, if you're brand new to sales, here are a couple of things that I want you to remember because in the beginning stages of your business, your SaaS launch, if I may, you have to kind of wear all different hats. You have to handle prospecting, you have to handle sales, closing, fulfillment, follow up, account management, customer success, support. Like you're wearing so many different hats in the beginning. But the most important hat that you're wearing in the beginning stages of your business is the sales hat. No matter what you have, no matter what kind of services, products, it doesn't matter. The absolute only thing that matter in your business is setting appointments and closing appointments. That's it. There's nothing else that matters. Your fulfillment, your snapshot. A lot of people over perfect the product and they over perfect fulfillment. And in my, personal opinion, to me, it's like a coping mechanism of hiding behind the scenes because a lot of us are afraid of sales. A lot of us are afraid of the rejection that you may or may not experience. So what do? We get on the platform, build work, snapshots, build all these different things that we think our potential clients would need. And you find yourself a couple of months later where it's like, man, I have no sales activities has happened. So I want to really help you avoid that kind of a scenario. And I'm saying all this with love in general. And remember, I've had an agency in the past, two of them. And the most important thing is your sales pipeline. So if you're new to sales, here are a couple of things that's going to help you kind of navigate through the waters until you are able to, essentially outsource or assemble a different team to be able to handle sales for you. The person that is questioning in a conversation, okay, whoever is the person that's creating the questions or presenting the questions is in control of the conversation. So no matter what happens, the person that's presenting the questions is in control. And now you want to be the person that's in control of a sales conversation because ultimately your obligation in sales is to help navigate the customer, the prospect's journey, whether your offer is a good fit or not, right? Your role ultimately is to help discover what is the offer, how does it apply to them, whether it's a yes or no. It doesn't matter if they reject it or not. Your job is to create the right relevancy if it actually is relevant to them, right? So how do we do that? We do that properly with asking the right questions, right? Now, the next big tip that I want to share with you when it comes to sales is never be the first person that's going to bring up price in a conversation. Let it be an invitation. So in the grand scheme of things, let's say I'm talking to a prospect and I'm like, hey, what's your story? How did you get into this industry? Or what is your, start? Or, what is your family about? Like when you ask these types of questions, you'll get to a cadence and you're getting comfortable with the prospect. But eventually you'll feel so comfortable where you might jump the gun and say, oh, you know what? Just so you know, my products are XYZ. When you do that, you're kind of violating the cadence of how to handle sales in a chronological way. And I'll share some structures, I'll share some blueprints that I've kind of put together and taught a lot of high levelers today based on my own agency and my own business experience. Now, it may not apply to you. Some of it is may not even be, valid today in the age of 2024. My agencies were, built back in 2016 through 19, right? Today's landscape has changed already. But what I want to do is present it so you have inspiration. You have a starting point to kind of build your own frameworks, your own structure of sales. Okay. So never be the first person. You go back. Sorry. So never be the first person to bring up price in a conversation. This is the second rule. The third rule is your purchasing habits will reflect your selling habits. So if you are an individual, let's say, that purchase something on Amazon or e-commerce, and your habit is that you have to have a discount. You don't like to pay full price for anything. And if you're one of those friends that I have that would love a coupon no matter what it is, and if I ask you to be a salesperson, more than likely you're going to be tempted to provide a discount to the prospect because the way you purchase items is through a discount, right? So psychologically, you might be indoctrinated to always lead with the discount, right? These are things that you might recognize as you build out a sales habit or system. The fourth thing I want to share with you is sales is a rhythmic sport. Like it's like hitting a baseball bat in practice or shooting a basketball, where if you're not in rhythm for a couple of weeks and you try to get back out there, you're more than likely not going to hit a ton of shots or hit a bunch of home runs or whatever, because it's like sports. Sales is very much like sports. It's a rhythmic habit. And even the best of the best folks in sales, if they haven't practiced closing deals in a while, it takes them, couple sometimes 2 weeks to ramp back up into that same mode the right way. And what I mean by that is like your energy level, your comfort, your confidence, your mannerisms, and how you navigate through a conversation. Because your job is to lead the conversation the right way, to make the prospect feel the most comfortable, the comfortable level where they're open with you. They understand what your intentions are, regardless whether the offer makes sense or not. Okay. And ultimately, the cool thing about the 5 day challenge, in my opinion, is that the strength of your offer allow the ease of sales. We know that the Trojan horses that we're presenting, missed call, text back, SMS marketing, reviews, GMB, what else? The mobile app, and live chat, like all these items, even if you led with one of those as your Trojan horse, we know that they work in the local market. If you take some of those and go to a franchise or a massive enterprise company, it's not going to work because their Trojan horse is completely different. Their Trojan horse could be, oh, we've got to train, 100 or 200 man team in a week through HR solutions, right? Like their pain points are totally different than the mom and pop shop. So we know the offers work because we've proven it with a ton of agencies. And I don't know if you know this, but we launched the 5 day challenge program maybe 8 or 10 months now, or 8 months now. And about 17,000 agencies today and marketers have gone through the 5 day challenge. And we spent about 6 months of that in beta, ironing it out, figuring out different things, all to tell you the results have been astronomically positive. Most people that go through the 5 day challenge end up getting their first paying customer. So everything we're sharing is from a lot of data, it's from a lot of, proven stories. And when you go to the Facebook group and other communities, you may not see enough like success stories of people just, hey, I landed clients here, there. Like you may not see that, but when you meet in person, come to our masterminds, our conferences, and interact with this and interact with other customers, you see that people are doing really well with some of these offers. So remember, your confidence should come from our data that we're sharing with you to help you go to the market in a sense. Okay. The last thing I want to share with you when it comes to sales is a confused mind will never make a purchasing decision. The fastest way you can confuse a prospect in technology sales is to lead with features, right? That's the worst thing you can do. And the second worst thing is lead with multiple features, right? You don't want to go to the market and say, hey, I do missed call text back. I do XYZ. Those are not linguistic preferences, I would say that's relevant to most mom and pop shops. Like they're not going to know what missed call text back. That word is not even like, relevant to them. So you have to figure out your love language in sales and create terminologies. And, like, for example, if you're in healthcare, like you should know that they don't call customers customers. In healthcare, they're called patients, right? So there's different cadences in every one of these industries. So it's important that when you do lead with these offers, your language, the style, your vocab, all is relevant and applicable to the industry. So if you create multiple offers, it will make that linguistic programming a lot more complicated and complex to be able to close deals a lot more easier. Is this making sense to you guys? Give me a yes in the chat if you're following me so far. I just want to make sure I'm not creating more confusion. Okay. A ton of you are saying yes. Okay, thank you for the responses. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. The next thing I want to share with, so these are the golden rules for anybody. It doesn't matter if you have no experience in sales. If you can remember these 6, 7 rules in your mind, you will do better than the average salesperson. I promise you. So now the next thing you want to do is figure out a structure for yourself when it comes to sales. Now, this is something I've mapped out for myself, and it may not apply to you, but here's what I noticed about the way I've done sales in the past. All the conversations that I've had that I've recorded and studied for myself in my own sales habits, I've always divided up a conversation with the prospect into four different phases, right? Every conversation that I close really well or efficiently that I've studied, all all are kind of divided, and that's probably because I'm not a big fan of sales scripts. I don't like them because it creates like a robotic, tension for me. Like I don't want to memorize a bunch of words when I'm just talking to someone, right? I want to comfortably talk to my prospects and make them feel comfortable because I don't want to be a robot memorizing a bunch of words and just hoping for sales. Like I want to be comfortable in my sales leadership. So because of that, I don't like sales scripts. So how do I navigate through a sales conversation in a structured way? I have frameworks that I've memorized. Regardless, I'm in a sales environment or not, I use this specific framework for myself when I interact with a person. I can be at a networking event. The way I would usually interact with someone is I literally walk up to them or they walk up to me or whatever, and I think through this framework. Now, what is this framework and why does this matter? This framework is a chronological order of how I structure my sales conversations. Okay, it's a chronological order, and I don't ever violate this if I'm intentionally trying to close somebody. Phase one is the story phase. Phase two is numbers. Phase three is conditions. Phase four is decisions. And by the way, if you go back through 5 Day Challenge content, day three and day four content is really about this. Today, I wanted to just do a recap on sales because a few of you reached out and asked me, hey, Paulson, I loved everything we shared this week, but I want a little bit more in depth of context on how sales is carried out, which is why I'm sharing this before we go do a Q&A. Hopefully that's okay. So the four phases are story, numbers, conditions, decisions. So in my mind, I memorized that framework. Okay, when I navigate through a conversation, this is the order. So what exactly are these phases? What exactly are these, frameworks? I mean, milestones is what I was thinking about. So the first thing is story. Story is where I want to make my prospect feel comfortable enough to share their story in business. Okay. How do I do that? I make sure I ask them about how they got started, who they are, how do they get into that industry. And I make sure I don't talk about my story. Because if I go and ask a prospect, hey, how long have you been in the business? How did you get started? Help me understand your story. I literally start with, help me understand your story in business or your story in real estate, your story in plumbing, your story in education, whatever industry that they're in. I simply ask them, what is your story? And usually you'll start getting better at this once you start practicing. Most people will take 2 to 3 minutes and help you understand or basically talk about their current situation of their business, right? And some people will go long-winded and they'll be like, back in the 80s when I started blah blah blah, they'll talk about their life story. We don't want to waste time talking about somebody's biography, right? So I kind of put these rails up and I navigate through and I tell them, hey, remind me next time we chat to share my story as well. I appreciate you sharing that. Help me understand how many people walk in through the front door of your business, because now what I'm doing is going right into the second phase, which is we've established a story of each other, right? If you have time, both, if not, just them. The next thing is getting to the numbers. Well, remember the golden rule that I had shared. You never want to be the first person that brings a price. So how do you go into the numbers phase and figure out? Because ultimately, what you want to figure out is in sales, ultimately, what you want to figure out is what is their current situation and what is their desired situation. Your job in sales is to be the bridge between both of these scenarios. Your offers may or may not apply as a vehicle to help them get across that bridge, right? So you have to navigate through and figure out if it makes sense for you to work together. But the big thing about these situations is the numbers. If they're doing, I don't know, let's say $50,000 a week, you want to figure out whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because that could be a terrible thing. They should be at 500,000 a week compared to their competitors, right? We don't know that until you have those conversations. So in numbers, what I do is lead with volume-oriented questions. Volume-oriented questions will allow me to navigate into price related questions. So I always lead with how many people walked in through your front door? How many phone calls did you receive this week? And where do you want to be? Right. And then what I do is I'll ask them, hey, help me understand your most popular product and how did you come up with these pricing? So they'll tell me, well, Paulson, I have this med spa package that's $1,000, and I have this ultimate VIP package for $3,000. I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks for sharing, but how did you come up with these prices? Is this what the landscape of medical spas look like? So you're positioning yourself as a, you're inquiring, you're inquisitive of their pricing strategies. And then I'll ask them things like, hey, so you're telling me 50 people walk in through the front door, you charge about $2,000 for your top package or your popular package. So is it okay for me to assume that 50 times 2,000, a $100,000 week is a good week for you? Is that a strong week? And they'll say yes or no. And then the next question is, well, is that where you want to be? Because you want to paint the bigger picture of current situation versus desired situation, right? Because your goal is to help them see the desired situation and you being the bridge of it, right? So when it comes to numbers, full summary of numbers. Lead with volume-oriented questions, quantity-oriented questions. Ask them about how they price their products and services, and then go figure out if their numbers are where they want to be. Because some people, like I've seen my dental agency, um, I realize with dentists and healthcare actually in general, they don't want more patients. Like having more volume of patients through the front door is not the goal of most practitioners. They just want to have bigger, essentially complex, sophisticated cases, right? That are way higher tickets than bringing in 1,000 patients a week. So as a marketing person, you have to know they want, products that are worth more with less volume and they deal with 5 patients total in a week versus 1,000 patients in like 1 week, right? So you get to learn these things about each one of these industries, which is why the numbers phase actually matter a lot. The third phase is you deciding and understanding as a, like in a diagnostic way, whether your products actually make sense for them. I shared my thoughts, I think Monday on, like certain industries, missed call text back does not apply, like e-commerce. Most people are not calling an e-commerce store to make a purchase. They're just going online, grabbing whatever they need, and that's it. So, e-commerce provider is not a good candidate for you. So, in your prospecting, in phase three is where you ultimately make that decision. Okay, these are my products. This is your current situation. Can I get you to your desired situation? And that's you vetting yourself and your Trojan horses, your full packages, and figuring out if this is worth your time. And I rather under promise and over deliver versus over promise anything anytime, right? Sometimes you get excited in the sales conversations and navigate, and you can easily convince yourself, you know what, I can get this done because I will make it happen, right? And maybe you haven't made that happen before, let's say a certain type of fulfillment, but you're relying on your maybe networking skills to go outsource something or bring in a contractor or bring in a team member that can help you fulfill these things. But usually when you go down that lane, um, in my opinion, it usually doesn't end well, right? So I recommend under promising and over delivering. Set the stage. Hey, within a week, you may see some reviews. But what happens if within the first 4 hours you come in and you're showing like a couple of reviews that they got that same first day, their excitement of the relationship will totally change. So think through on the conditions phase to see, is that even possible? Can I over deliver here without breaking my back or my team's back on getting these things done? Those are the types of thoughts you should think about. Now, phase four is decisions. This is actually, as you get more experience in sales, the fourth phase will get more complex because usually you develop a voice, you develop an energy, and a lot of times you could even build overconfidence because you're like, you know what? I know my offer, I know the type of prospects, and you start assuming everybody's very similar as far as the prospects are concerned. And you find out every single business is unique to themselves in their own thing, so they don't make decisions the same way, right? So phase four, um, my thoughts are this. I'll ask a business owner how they make their business decisions. So, like, let's say, for example, on Wednesday, I jumped on a prospecting call. I did my 1 minute quick demo. They like everything. And we got through phase one, two, and three. At that point, I have to set the stage for the close, right? And most people don't set the stage properly when it comes to the fourth phase. I'll simply ask my prospect, hey, it seems like we're a good fit together from everything you've explained, from your story, your numbers, and I feel like our offers will take you to your desired scenario of $250,000 a week, whatever that North Star is. Okay. How I'll ask them, how do you normally make a business decision around something like this? Because what I want to do is preventively knock out all the objections before they can bring up the objections. Some people will tell you, hey, I've got to talk to my partner, and I'll get back to you. And it's like an out, like they just want to get out of the scenario for whatever reason. Maybe there's a disconnect. But what I like to do is kill those objections way before I even ask for the sale, which is, how do you normally make a business decision around something like this to automate your business? Well, I have to talk to my partner. Perfect. When do you think you'll be able to talk to your partner? And what I would love to do is put together a schedule or a timeline for me to reach back out to you and maybe get this thing set up, right? So you're assuming a close, you're assuming an onboarding, and you're basically saying, hey, how would you like for me to close you, right? A lot of people that are comfortable will tell you, hey, Paulson, why don't you call me back Thursday at 2 p.m.? I'll already have enough time to talk to everybody that I need to talk to, and we can make a decision then. So then on Thursday, when I call them, I am holding them accountable to that suggestion. I'm positioning myself as, hey, Joe, you asked me to call you Thursday about getting everything set up. Um, is this still a good time? And I just wanted to honor my promise that I was going to call you back. So your positioning is different on the close because you've already killed all the objections and said, how do you like to be closed in a sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that gives you some ideas. And I just wanted to really just navigate through and share a couple of notes around the sales concept of this. Now, if you are watching this 5-day challenge, as today is the last day of the challenge, we do have a trial offer. I just want to make sure you're aware of it. In case if you're watching this from anywhere on any of our social channels, you can take advantage of a 30-day trial, which we usually don't do. It's 14 days. But you can do a 30-day trial to, I believe, our 297 plan and get all the resources attached to the 5-day challenge, which are, you get the agency snapshot, your client fulfillment snapshot. Those are all automation blueprints or automation trees that you can just start and launch an account with. You get the 5-day challenge workbook. You get access to our private Facebook group. You get pre-challenge course, which is the pre-recorded course. You get pre-made prospecting funnels, white label onboarding videos. You get sales collaterals like sales scripts, demos, sales trackers, and all those different things. You get an FAQ brochure style. Number 10 is like a BNI Chamber of Commerce type of a document that you can use. You also have access to Facebook paid ads. Like our team went through and built out paid ads, so you can literally take it and just launch it. Of course, those are just starting points, but our paid ads team behind the scenes is phenomenal. They're very solid at what they do. So if it was up to me, I would probably use that as a starting point. And you also have homework guides and assignments and things like that. But I just wanted to make sure this is available to you. And in order for you to get all those items for free, all you have to do is go grab a 30-day trial if you don't have an account at gohighlevel.com/5DC-offer. Okay. This offer will expire as soon as I'm done today. Today is the last day to take advantage of this offer because today is the last day for the 5-day challenge. Today's Friday. So what I'm going to do is go through and answer a couple of questions. Let's see here. If a business owner purchased the $97 system in order to do this themselves and realizes they'd rather go to the 297 plan, do they just cancel? And how do I set them up brand new? No, all they have to do is just simply upgrade, right? You don't have to cancel and re-sign up a plan. And this applies to you as well as your customers. All you have to do is just simply upgrade them in your system, and they get access to whatever that next level is. Okay, and that's done through the SaaS configurator, right? So you can set it up where the configurator knows you have, let's say, 3 plans, and you can basically transition any customer from the bottom to the top, to the top to the bottom, however you want to do that. Okay. Is it fair to expect the client to close their own sales? Or does the agency get involved in closing client sales? How do you set the expectations that I drive traffic to them, but they have to convert the lead to a client? So, Jennifer, in this scenario with the 5-day challenge, my invitation is that you think like a software company and not as a marketer or a marketing service provider, right? I want you to think of yourself as a tool provider where it doesn't matter how they use the platform as long as they use it. So, yes, you can go down the lane of creating a sales package, like sales as a service, but I would charge a couple of $1,000s for something like that. It's definitely not in the SaaS launch pricing we're sharing of like $200 a month or $300 a month to a local business. You're essentially building their business with them at that point. So I would definitely, if you're interested in doing something like that, I would package it as a full-on marketing service. And if your clients don't take your top package that comes with sales management, I wouldn't make that available in your SaaS offer. Okay. Let's see. Is the SaaS market core crowded in the US or UK? Well, software is a saturated space in general, but software with a SaaSpreneur attached to it is not saturated at all. Most software companies just throw the software at them and there's no implementation, there's no integration, there's no person, there's no one human being that they can talk to as a local business. They have to call a random 1-800 number and hope for the best when it comes to implementation. So the real combination is the SaaS plus the SaaSpreneur, which is all of you that could go to the market and work shoulder to shoulder with the local business, which is the biggest thing, right? That combination is what makes this whole thing a whole lot more unique. When watching the onboarding digital training, I noticed the online listings was toggled off for now. Can you elaborate why that is, please? Yeah. In the beginning of your launch, the four features that gives you the best usage from your customers is GMB, reviews, live chat, and mobile app. The other features, including listings, are secondary, right? So once you stabilize your customers with these 4 or 5, including missed call text back, once you stabilize them there, it will allow them to understand the platform well enough before you turn on marketing oriented services. So online listings, I consider it to be a marketing service, not necessarily a software offer. Okay. But there's no reason why it's turned off outside of the fact you don't want to confuse them, right? A confused mind don't buy, right? And a confused mind usually don't they're not stable in a trial experience. So you want to create the most simplistic trial experience that you possibly can until your prospects are stable. right? Once they're stable, maybe 25 days, 30 days later, you can come in and say, hey, I noticed that you don't have a lot of traffic in your TikTok platform, or I noticed that you don't have online listings. Is it okay if I turn this on, or is it okay if we send you a business plan around this and help you understand what you're missing out? Like, so you can do an upsell a lot later versus mixing it all in the beginning and they have to make multiple decisions. You don't want your prospects to make multiple decisions in the beginning. You want to simplify the onboarding as well as the sales experience. Okay. If our clients have a Twilio number, can we bring that into GHL? Yes, you can. It's a complicated process. You could import a Twilio number into it, but you don't have to. But it's up to you. There is a importing steps. I think there's some documents in our white papers. So if you go to help.gohighlevel.com, you'll see a ton of our content around tech setup. And if you look up how to import or how to port a number to Twilio or how to take an existing Twilio number and add it to your agency, you can find that there. But it is a complicated step. Like if I have a client, if I have a client like that in a scenario like this where I'm trying to launch, I'm probably going to just drop the prospect and go to a different prospect that is a whole lot more easier to fulfill. Because my thought process is, how do I get to my 25 client mark with the least amount of fulfillment? I'm not trying to take on custom projects. Hopefully that makes sense. Following up on the question above, the $97 client is not my client. I believe they bought directly from GHL, not sure. So if you bought a $97 account through GHL, all you have to do is simply upgrade to the 297 plan for those extra features that you were asking about. And that you do that inside your billing. So log into the app, go to billing, and it'll allow you to upgrade your plan. Okay. All this tech setup that we're talking about, it's all in day two. So if you log into the online course, day two content gives you click by click steps on how to get this all set up. Okay. Let's see. Is there a video recording of a demo call? I think there is a demo videos that challengers like students in the community has posted. So I would say take a look at those. And that'll probably give you a lot more context than anything else. But anyways, I just wanted to at least, navigate through and help you understand the sales structure of this, because that was something that I got a lot of requests for this week. So hopefully you got a ton of nuggets out of that. But remember, this is not a goodbye. You could let me go ahead and stop sharing. This is not a goodbye. You are more than free to interact in our official communities. We have 4 different Facebook groups. Okay, we have 4 different Facebook groups. You have the main community, you have the SaaSpreneurs community, which is all of our 497 plan holders. Then you have the 5-day challenge group, which is the 30-day access. And then we also have a job network. Now, in addition to that, I want to tell you guys all about our certifications program, which is a pretty solid resource in my opinion, especially if you're like me and you're not a techie person at all. I rather find the person that'll help me fulfill all this stuff. So I'm usually inclined to go to directories.gohighlevel.com and find someone that can set this all up for a very minimal cost, and I'll just add that cost to my setup fee and go to market, right? I just rather focus on sales. But either way, check out certifications. Maybe you're someone that is a tech wizard, that's total opposite of me, and you want to get certified. So feel free to go to certifications.gohighlevel.com, and maybe certifications will also allow you to take on projects and jobs to get more comfortable with high level. But either way, thanks for attending the 5-day challenge. Hope you have a great, fantastic rest of your afternoon and Friday. But looking forward to interacting with a ton of you in the community as well. So let us know if there's anything else we can do to help you. Remember, all the collaterals and resources are available to you in the online course, which is totally separate than these live streamings that are happening. There is an online course for the 5-day challenge that is complementary to what we're doing on the live side with click-by-click instructions of every single step. So take a look at that inside of your university. If you need any help outside of that and just need something inside high level, you can always go to speakwith.us/success, which is a live Zoom room that you can just walk into, talk to a live agent any given time, and spend time and just really understand the platform or troubleshoot something, or maybe you set up something and didn't realize the way it was set up was wrong or configured or whatever. You can always talk to any of our live agents. It's 24/7, weekends, nights included. Anytime you want to jump on a Zoom, you can. But either way, have a good rest of your afternoon. Bye for now. Take care.